So listen, there is nothing I hate more than when I unconsciously do something that actually prevents me from getting the outcome that I really want. And you might be doing just that when it comes to communication in your marriage. See, what you may have failed to notice is that your body and your face may be actually hurting you more than it's helping you as you try to communicate with your spouse. So in this video, I want to give you a few things to think about and consider the next time you get into a conversation with your spouse that I think will greatly improve your chances of communicating well and having the conversation go in the direction that you want. Before I jump in on those, if you've not downloaded our free guide to intimacy, you'll see a link in the description area below. If communication is your issue, I'm guessing it is since you're on this video, I've got the perfect solution for you, which is our Closing the Communication Gap video-driven course. It's got everything you'll ever need to improve communication in your relationship. Why you and your spouse communicate the way you do based on your personalities, maybe some things that are hindering communication, some reasons why couples stop sharing, and much, much more. And if you use the code RelationShots at checkout, you'll get $100 off that. And guess what? If you go through the whole course and you find it hasn't helped you at all, hit me up. I'll give you all your money back because I'm more concerned about your communication than I am your cash. So, I was recently reading Vanessa Van Edwards' latest book called Cues, and I came across a few things and I was like, that is relationship gold when it comes to couples and how we communicate. Because she mentions in there how important our body and our face is in our ability to communicate well and others hear what we're trying to communicate. For instance, did you know that arms out, palms up is a universal cue of openness? That our brain, when it sees somebody else's palms, it signals to us that person is safe, right? Just like if I put my hands behind my back, your brain really can't listen to everything I'm saying because half of it's going, I wonder what that dude's got behind his back. I wonder if he's safe. Maybe he's got a knife back there. Maybe he's got a club, whatever it is. So there are things that we may be doing inadvertently with our bodies and our faces that are causing us to not be able to communicate good in the relationship. So I want to give you 3 mistakes you might be making with your body and your face, and I'm not going to leave you hanging because I'm your friend. So I'm going to give you 3 solutions to those mistakes that will greatly improve your communication. So mistake number 1 are what Vanessa Van Edwards refers to as distancing cues. And so when you don't want to be in a place, you distance yourself from that place, right? If I'm somewhere and it doesn't feel safe, I want to get the heck out of there. So you might be in a conversation with your spouse and you don't really want to have the conversation. You don't really want to be there in that moment. And so you may unconsciously do some things to distance yourself, to get away from it, that will hurt you guys' ability to communicate in that moment, right? Could be something as simple as leaning away or turning your head, jerking your head back, looking the other way, or actually scooting back. But any of those things you do will unconsciously communicate to your spouse, you are not interested in being here right now. You're not interested in what they're saying. You're not interested in trying to hear their perspective or their point in it. And you really don't want to be in this conversation. And obviously, if you're communicating that to your spouse, their communication back to you is probably not going to go well. And it's probably going to make them feel some kind of way, which is then going to impact the way that they try to have conversations with you in that moment, right? And so what's the solution to that? It's real simple. Lean in. When you lean towards somebody, and some people tilt heads too, but when you lean towards somebody, you immediately communicate, I am interested in what you're saying. You're unconsciously communicating to the other person, I might even be in agreement with you, or we might be on the same page in this conversation. But certainly at the very least, you're communicating, I value you and I value what you have to say, and so I'm here for it. And which do you think is going to improve the communication in your relationship? Leaning away or leaning in? In fact, they did some research and they showed people pictures of other people who are either leaning forward or leaning back, and then they asked them to just rank their likability based on the picture. And as you can guess it, the people who are leaning forward scored much higher on likability than the people who were leaning backward, all other factors accounted for. It was simply the fact that one was leaning in, and that communicated something which made them like the person a little bit better. So one of the mistakes you might be making is distancing yourself by leaning back, throwing your head back, looking away, or even physically moving away from the person. All of that is going to make it so your communication doesn't hit as well. Mistake number 2, the term that Vanessa Van Edwards uses in her book is called blocking cues. And blocking cues is anything that we put between ourselves and the other person that communicates a stance of protection, defensiveness, and I don't want to be in this conversation right now. So it could be as simple as arms crossed. I cross my arms and I'm blocking them unconsciously. I'm communicating. I'm defensive. I'm listening, but I'm listening to attack back. Maybe it's a pillow you're holding in between you. Maybe it's a laptop that's sitting between you and the other person that is causing a little bit of blockage. But in any of those cases, what the blocking cue says is, I'm probably not open here to what you are saying. I'm probably not open to your perspective or your opinion on this thing. And I'm probably not being open-minded about maybe what you might want to suggest in this conversation. So what is the solution? An open body. Don't cross your arms, open your arms up. Don't be leaning to the side, have an open stance towards them. And when you are opened up and there's nothing blocking you and that other person, it immediately communicates to them, guess what? I am open to what you're saying. I am open to the possibility of you influencing me in whatever area we're having the conversation about. I am open to your perspective and your opinions and your thoughts on the situation. Simply by my body, I'm communicating, I'm open to this thing. And their communication is going to come across a lot more positive when you look like you're in an open stance than when you're in a closed stance. So rather than being in a closed position, open up next time you're in a conversation with them. And also be conscious, if you see them in a closed position, your mind is probably already making you feel some kind of way. So be aware of that so that you can catch yourself and not get carried away thinking, oh, they're already defensive, so I guess I'm just going to go in. Or they're not even willing to, and we start assuming all kinds of things. That's mistake number 2. So instead of being closed and a blocking cue, I want you to open yourself up. Mistake number 3 is your face. And I'm not speaking to your attractiveness. I'm not calling you ugly. It don't matter if you're attractive, if you're ugly, or if you're medium ugly. Someone used that term last week. That was new to me. They said when they're dating and looking for a partner, they look for somebody who's medium ugly. I guess they figure attractive people are high maintenance. So whether you're ugly, medium ugly, or attractive, your attractiveness is not the issue here. The issue is, what is your face doing and how is that impacting the conversation? So research has been done that shows that if we manipulate our facial expressions or our facial muscles to mimic certain expressions like fear or sadness or happiness, it actually activates our autonomic nervous system, which causes us to start feeling the expression that our face is making. So here's what that means. Whatever your face is doing is impacting how you're feeling. And you already know that however you're feeling is going to impact how you're communicating. But wait, there's more here. Not only that, but our brains are created in such a way that it is looking for expressions in other people, and our brain automatically primes us to begin mimicking the feelings of the other person's expression. That means, for instance, have you ever gotten excited when somebody else came celebrating something good in their life? Or have you ever felt sad when you're with somebody who's going through a really difficult time and their countenance is down? Our brains naturally look at the expression of the other person and then begin telling the brain to mimic the feelings that the other person's having in there. So guess what? Not only is your face affecting your own feelings and how you communicate, but your face is contagious for the other person's feelings. So here's why that's an issue. You show up to a conversation with a scowl or with an angry face, not only are you going to be feeling cynical or angry, but your face will actually cause your spouse to start feeling cynical or angry, which is going to impede the way they receive whatever you communicate. But hey, guess what? Just as it can hurt you, it can help you. That's the good news, right? If you show up to a conversation with a warm face and a warm smiling expression, not only will that help improve your own mood, but it'll actually be contagious for your spouse's mood. So if I show up to a conversation, especially a difficult conversation, with a warm expression, eyebrows raised, with smiling maybe, open posture, not only am I going to be feeling better, which will allow me to communicate better, but it will actually influence my spouse and they'll be feeling better, which will make them more receptive to whatever I'm communicating. So hopefully at this point, I've at least convinced you to consider the fact that your body and your face may be hurting you in conversation unconsciously, but also has the ability to help you in conversation when you are consciously doing some things. So your homework this week is simple. I want you, next conversation you go into that may be a little tense, I just want you to think before you show up and show up with a body posture and with facial expressions that will not only improve your own feelings, but can now influence your spouse and improve their feelings, which in turn will greatly improve your ability to communicate with each other. And then I want you to drop a comment and let me know how it worked for you, or if you've noticed some other things that greatly improve some of your postures, maybe how you sit or what you've done that have helped you in the communication. And again, if you need some help in the communication department, we'd love to be part of that journey. You can check out our Closing the Communication Gap video course. Use the code RelationShots for $100 off. And again, we'll give you all your money back if it doesn't work for you because I simply want to help you in communication in your relationship. So I'm going to tag a couple of other communication videos at the end of this one if you want to keep watching some. And I'll see you right back here next time on RelationShots.